Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our Tuesday night edition of the Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. We are broadcasting out of the DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, Texas Metropolitan area. We are live streaming on all social media platforms. We're live streaming on my personal page, which is the Furman Jackson Jr. page. We're live streaming on the Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast Facebook page. We're live streaming on LinkedIn. We're live streaming on YouTube. We're live streaming on Twitch. And now we're live streaming on Instagram as well. Here on the show, we're bringing great information that you can apply, meditate on, marinate on to help change your life. I'm very honored, very pretty, very excited to have a very extraordinary young woman who's been doing extraordinary things for a long time. She's been out in these communities, she's been out in the city, voicing on the things of righteousness. We know the Bible says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But we know when the wicked are in authority, we know the people mourn. And I know she's one of those righteous people that's all about righteousness in all aspects of life. And she let her voice be heard. She's not afraid at all. And she is the one and only Payton Jackson. Payton, thank you for taking time out of your productive schedule. I know you're doing a lot of great things around the city, letting your voice be heard. Now that being a voice for voiceless. So how are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. I won't complain. We're here once again on Tuesday night, which I do it every Tuesday. But most important, we make sure we're bringing great information to those who listen as we live stream and go back into the near future and lose to do it as well. Also, we're going to give further big shout out to Bishop Thomas out of California. He's in the comment section, so big shout out to him. Once again, Penn, I know you're doing extraordinary things. How has it been going? I know you've been out there in the fields day in and day out.
Well, it's a journey. Yeah, I've been since the last. How long has it been? More than a year, right?
About a year, more than a year.
Since we talked. So I just finished my run for Congress. I ended up suspending the campaign after I was rejected twice by the Secretary of State due to petitions. So the same thing that they tried to do to Dr. Cornel West, who's running for president as an independent. They tried to throw out his ballots, or I'm not his ballots, his petitions, and I believe in a few states, but recently in Michigan. But they came back and still kept him on the ballot. Um, but I learned a lot, and I realized one of the reasons why independents don't get far, those petitions. Those petitions. So you can buy your way onto the ballot as a Democrat, you can buy your way onto the ballot as a Republican. You cannot buy your way onto the ballot as an independent. And if they don't want you on the ballot, they're going to reject your petitions. So, yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for every step.
Well, I know, Peyton, you always been an educated woman from the time that I've known you. Always been a very highly educated woman. Also out there getting out there in the fields and learning, educating the people. And like I said, what all this originated from, from where you are today to the beginning. So how did all this come about with you, politics, running for office, things of that nature?
Well, I got into politics originally working on campaigns, and knowing all of what I know now, I was definitely working on the wrong campaigns. Um, but I was invited to work on a couple of campaigns. Grateful for the experience. I learned a lot, and I was able to implement a lot, not everything, but a lot of that experience in my own campaign. So that's how I got started into politics. But then I started speaking about the issues that I wanted to see changed. And then I seen a 10-year incumbent that wasn't doing his job in my eyes. And at first I was like, shrug my shoulders. And it was around the same time I wrapped up my reparations tour. And I learned a lot about Democrats. They're there's that much different from the Republicans um, in regards to a black agenda. There's not much of a difference there. So when I seen that, I was like, why would I go out and waste my time and vote if both sides do the exact same thing. And right before I gave up voting after seeing the flaws in the Democrat Party, I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. Especially after they proposed the TikTok ban, I was like, yeah, I got to do something. So I decided to run, and ever since then, it's been hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. But I jumped as much as I could. But again, I'm so grateful for the experience. I met a lot of amazing people along the way. And I learned a lot, not only about Fort Worth, but a lot about Dallas too. And that was the city that I was raised in.
And like I said, you were doing it for quite a little while, and you was constantly doing it, and you were very consistent with it out there in the fields with or without people. You were still out there, knocking on doors, in people's faces, just the thrill and just see your passion about it. And that's something we lack nowadays. The passion. Everybody want to go along with the clout. Everybody want to go along with the in crowd. While everybody's going left, you're going right and making your own path and your own journey. But I remember last time you was on the show, you was talking about running eventually you did. And I think at that time you was the youngest candidate on the ballot, correct?
Yes, I would have been the youngest person to hold that seat, but the one of the youngest Congress representatives in the state of Texas.
And I know, and then also I know the feedback. I know you was getting a lot of positive, also you getting a lot of negative feedback as well from people. The harsh comments, the words on social media platforms, and of course on social media. But how do you maintain all that? Because I know the average person would say, you know what, this is too much. I don't want to deal with all this. But you kept going. What kept you going?
The grace of God. If it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be able to do anything. But I consider myself to be a strong advocate for the youth to get into politics because the youth is the future. Not I don't just say it because the thing that we normally say, but our children are going to be the solutions for what these quote unquote old people have done. And I'm excited for them. I really am. And for anybody that's watching that would like to get into politics, I embrace you every single step of the way as long as you have a genuine motive. Because I didn't get that embrace, especially not from the black community. Especially not from the black community. Now, when I originally started to run, I thought that I was doing this for us because at the time I was a firm believer in reparations. And my opponent, he supported everybody but the black community, especially when it came down to reparations. So when I seen it, I was like, huh? So I was like, at first, outside of TikTok and securing the border and a few other things, I was like, I'm doing this for my people, right? But 99%, 99% of the doors that was slammed in my face were by my own people. Um, but it wasn't just that. The people who were willing to talk to me, um, half of the black community that engaged in conversation, a lot of them just wanted gotcha moments. They wanted to prove me wrong in whatever way on anything. They just wanted gotcha moments. They didn't want to have a collaborative conversation, especially with the older black women. They
Mm-hmm.
really did not take well to me. And it had nothing to do with a party or who their incumbent was. A lot of people don't know who represents them, especially in Congress. A lot of people don't know who their city council rep is, their county commissioner, their state rep, let alone their U.S. House Congress rep. So when I seen the response from the black community, I was like, ugh. But yeah, if it wasn't for the grace of God, I wouldn't have been able to get through that. That and how I start my day every day. The first 20 minutes of my day, I protect with all of my might. So it's usually with Les Brown, E.T., Steve Harvey, some type of motivational, um, podcast.
And that's what it's all about, keeping that positivity going, keeping that flow going, and most definitely being open minded. So the individuals you dealt with when it came to our community, majority of them, I believe, were closed minded.
Hmm.
Closed mind to the fact of change, closed mind to the fact of new possibilities. I know you're an individual who wants to represent possibilities, and we know, going biblical for a moment, we know the Bible with God all things are possible, and I know, and I do believe that you are the individual who wants to represent possibilities, that you can break that barrier, you can get out the box, you can unlock the door to the cage per se, and to excel higher than ever before, to see that, okay, people are closed minded, especially when it comes to our community. We're so naive, and they know that, and just keep it a buck. They know that anytime they put some black or it comes to Christianity, they know we're gonna fall for it. We don't question anything. Oh, they say I believe. Oh, I believe it too. That's we vote for. Or they may say, oh, I'm black. Oh, okay, I'm going to vote for them, but don't know no background, no history, no nothing, no just, and they know that, and it's a
Right.
game. What would you want to say about that?
I agree. Ironically though, that's not really the issue that I face. Not That wasn't the majority of the issue. So what I faced was a lot of black people just being tired of politics, in which I totally understand. I do understand that, you vote for a person, they promise this, and then, they fall through. And you just get tired of that after a while. And it's a lot of, false promises being given every single year, because there's an election every single year. Um, but my thing about that is I was the only politician or only candidate that had ever been in these neighborhoods. So I felt like that spoke volumes, especially if it's freezing outside, especially if you can see the sweat running down my face. I'm not paying somebody to do this. I'm literally getting permission from the community. Usually people take those petitions to events. I was knocking on doors. I want to hear from you. I want to know about the changes that you would like to see in your neighborhood. And anybody that knows me, know that you tell me a problem that you're having. I don't have any say so on what they do locally, seeing as though my seat is federal, but I'll go down to city council with you. I'll go down to the commissioner's court with you. I have no problem chewing out politicians. But half of the black community, they weren't willing to even have that conversation. Like I said before, um, the half that were, the majority of them just wanted a gotcha moment. They didn't actually want to collab or conversation. And this was before I said anything about which party I was running with, or who, or against who I was taking out. It's just black people are tired, and I get it, but Charleston White was right. I mean, black people don't vote like that, and when they do, they come out and they mess up elections. Like this one coming up. But yeah, we have some
It's,
work to do in the black community. I can't say that.
well, as you was out there on the field, what was the biggest for those who was willing to engage, the individual willing to engage? What was the biggest concern to them that they want to see change that have been lingering on for so many years?
The biggest change that between Dallas and in Fort Worth was all local issues. So better streets, better sidewalks. A lot of streets and a lot of neighborhoods didn't have sidewalks. Better lighting. I know in Fort Worth, the neighborhood across from me has like one street light per block. So the lighting is horrible. The crime. Um, and I made sure that I told them, hey, the same gunshots y'all hear every night are the same gunshots I hear every night. The homeless issue, a solution for the homeless issue, the burdens of the homeless population, housing, education. It was pretty much all the same thing and all local stuff.
And I believe, like I said, we see a lot of, and I work within the system. So I work for the sheriff department in Dallas, and we see it's a revolving door. You see on the news that in Dallas County, the jail is overpopulated. and we know we're dealing with a revolving door. So we got individuals keep coming to jail, keep coming to jail, keep coming to jail, keep coming to jail. So we know that something has to change.
Right.
Something has to give. And while we keep dealing with the repeat offenders that
Right.
keep coming back, not only that, we have homeless who are incarcerated, but they have mental issues. And I work in one of the towers where we deal with a lot of mental ill inmates, and majority
Mhm.
of them are homeless. So it has to be a change somewhere
Right. I
in
agree.
order in order to see it, because we keep dealing with the revolving door, but something got to give.
Something has to give.
If not, it's just gonna keep it on. And then also we see with our youth, we see a lot of young people coming to jail now, and we see a lot of young men who are looking at long term time in prison.
Right.
So it's like, what are we doing? And then it's just getting worse. It's just going up and up and up until we have to break that cycle. And somebody has to break the cycle.
Right.
If not, we're just gonna continue on as well also. But I know that you are working with Avery, correct? You're working with his
I
campaigning.
am Avery Ayers. Yes.
Also, so how has that been? How that collab been going as of late?
So it's going great. I actually met Avery Ayers in the midst of dealing and battling with the Secretary of State. Um, he's been running for quite some time now. And he's had the same thing happen to him with the Secretary of State time and time and time and time again. Because that's what they do. They throw out petitions, especially if you're independent. So that's where I met him. And after the Secretary of State rejected me that second time, he invited me to work on or with his campaign as his campaign manager. And seeing as though I've been working on campaigns since what 2021, it was kind of like firsthand nature. The whole phone banking, block walking, flyers, everything that a campaign needs, signs, apparel, website design. I it's secondhand nature. And what drew me to him is not just him running as a Republican and him pointing out the flaws in the Democrat Party. And we have similar policies, but he has one of the major policies that I like from him is his advocacy, not only for independent candidates, but also for ex offenders.
Yeah.
I I don't know if we talked about this last time, but around the time we had that last interview, I had just either I was in the middle of the book or I had just finished up the new Jim Crow
Mm-hmm.
by Michelle Alexander, and she talks about how how basically we're dealing with the new Jim Crow, but it's over or involving incarceration.
And we know we have people who have paid their debt to society and they deserve another chance in society. But why hold that against them? Because that's one of the biggest things for years was felonies. And you got people
Right,
who was incarcerated, they get out, want to start their life over again, start afresh, start anew. But then this pops up where they won't be getting no employment. So what ends up happening? They end up going right back into the system, which we know is set up that way
right,
because me is about money. So they had to keep the money going because we have billionaires that are investing into these prisons. So they got to keep the money coming in. But to change that bill, that people that wants to have another chance in life can do that. Well, why hold they pass again them when they did something some odd years ago? Well, one of the first things you want them to be a very productive citizen in society.
right, right. And here's my thing: some of these offenses are victimless. I mean, it's definitely on my policy list. For anybody that has been rehabilitated or there was no victim in their crime, like especially when it comes to marijuana, throw that out and clean it up. But even beyond that, it's debatable whether or not. Well, actually, it's not debatable whether or not your housing and employment should be at risk if you make a mistake, especially if you've done what you needed to do. You paid your debt. I mean, people are literally fighting for employment. People are fighting for housing. I mean, I thought housing was a basic human right, or at least a necessity, but it should be a right.
Yeah.
But people are literally fighting for this, and they have to be scrutinized and minimalized, and reduced down to a box on an application. They can't serve on juries. They can't vote. You can run for office. It's not just Trump. I found out you can definitely run for certain seats. So please, if you have a felony conviction, please consider running for federal office. Please just think about it. Just think about it. And here's the thing: if you're off papers, you can vote even with a conviction. So just learn your laws and know what your rights are. But yeah, that's one of the major reasons why I support him heavily.
And awesome. And I know I had him on the show a few Saturdays ago, and he was out there in the fields, getting out there, talking to people, meeting with people, and that's what it's all about. And that was just one of his biggest things, was for people to get a second chance, and that's important. If you want to be a productive society and be productive citizen, why hold that past, especially if it's non-violent crimes, like you said, 'cause a lot of people are were in there had non-violent crimes. So if they had non-violent crimes, why hold that against them when they crime wasn't even violent?
Right. And I don't want to turn where this conversation is going, but that's one of the reasons why I don't support Harris, because of her work as a prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
For her to jump on the Breakfast Club and laugh about her history with smoking weed, and looking at her record as a prosecutor, it doesn't line up, especially with the stance that they have now, with saying, "Oh, nobody with simple marijuana charges should be, put in jail or prison." But when you were in power of controlling that, you did exactly that. So yeah, yes, I don't agree with the hypocrisy.
Well, I mean, she's a puppet anyway. You ask her, I
She
seen some of her
is.
interviews. You
She
ask
is.
her a question. You ask her a question, she can't give you a straight up answer. She's just a puppet. That's all she is. She's just a puppet, and they know that, and she know that the black community gonna fall for anything. At one time, she wasn't even saying she wasn't even black. Now she's saying she black, and she know people gonna fall for it.
At and we're falling for it, or at least they are. But that's our problem when it comes to identity politics. Like you mentioned before, as long as you identify as black or a Democrat, for whatever reason, we feel safe. Um, when in all honesty, we're in danger. I don't know if you've seen this, but the other day, 158 Democrats voted against deporting immigrants who are involved with sex crimes.
Mm.
I don't think anybody in their right mind would have voted against that. But furthermore, um, everybody's joking about what a black job is. Our people aren't doing our research, and the resources are there. We have Dr. Claude Anderson that spoke about it. We had a good Democrat. Her name was the great late Barbara Jordan. She spoke about it. We don't necessarily have to pick up a book to be educated, but at least utilize your phone. But we are so hell bent on dissecting Kendrick Lamar's lyrics or Drake's lyrics or investigating Rich Homie Quan's death, uh, trying to get in line for the next pair of J's, or trying to find the next concert, or filling up the club. At what point in time do we hold ourselves accountable? Because we're hardcore Democrats, but we are the minority when it comes to attendance in city council meetings. We're the minority, if ever present in school board meetings and county commissioners meetings. And I don't know anybody that has ever visited um, the Congress website, congress.gov, to actually read through the bills that these people are supporting and that they're authoring. And I'm not condoning the fact that we have to babysit politicians. We shouldn't. But if you're going to tell somebody to vote Democrat down the ballot, you need to be at least bare minimum giving me a legit reason. at least at bare minimum, because the people that encourage our community to vote blindly, they're doing an injustice.
I can believe it. I do believe that. So you always was a free thinker. You always, well, you're not finna just give me this. Mama gonna go back and research it. So you were always that free thinker, and you're encouraging individuals to learn how to be free thinkers. Like, don't take my word for it. You go do the research yourself, and then you determine what is true or not. Because we just throw stuff out there and we just run with it.
No. Mm-mm. I can't even let you say that. So I used to be a hardcore Democrat too. I
Mm-hmm.
used to I used to be the one telling people to vote Democrat down the ballot. Yeah. So when I first started in politics, I was still under the thumb of the Democrats. And I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot. Um, until I started to do the research. I was like, wait a minute. But I started to go to conservative meetings, didn't say anything about running, didn't really speak to anybody, the only black person in there. But I just listened without emotion. Without emotion. I just listened. They haven't said one racist thing yet. what what are my people talking about? And what they're talking about actually makes sense, especially given the facts that we have, and the historical facts that we have, especially with this border crisis. That actually makes sense. Like when Trump said that they're taking black jobs, that's a thing. Anybody joking about a black job and what is a black job in 2024 need to do their research on 1924 and how imperative the Immigration Act of that year was, and when it all got reversed in 1965. But the famous saying is, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book.
I agree.
We don't research what we need to research before we start, especially before we start talking about politicians. We take talking points from biased news channels and outlets, and we don't even pay attention to the other side, and that's not fair. You can't say that your vote is your voice. And a lot of people are scared to vote third party simply because they're terrified of Republicans. And I said this recently, but we say that third parties don't win, but third parties don't win because we don't have 44,000 people, random people, willing to drop any and everything that they're doing on a random Wednesday or Thursday to help them fundraise millions of dollars, like how they did with Harris. We don't support third parties. So how can you say they don't win when you've never taken a chance on them?
Hmm. And I'm gonna ask you that too. The difference between Democrat and Republican. I know growing up, if you black, they say go Democrat. They
Mhm.
said they were just throwing stuff out there, and like I said, we ran with it for so long. When did that mindset of in there? How did people start breaking that mindset? Because they would say, okay, Republican, especially in the South, Republican, they think, okay, it's white people. Democrat, they think it's for black people. They will say, oh, Republicans for the rich people. Democrat is for the poor people. Where did that mindset originated from? Because I know you're more expert in these things than I am. So where did that mindset originated from?
Well, so originally, black people were Republicans because the
Right,
the
I remember that.
Republicans did all of the major work when it came to getting our rights, and the Democrats were actually the racist party. They were the one who supported the KKK because the KKK wanted to stop people from voting. The Dixiecrats, all this and that and third. And there was a switch. I want to say mid 1900s, but it all switched over, or at least it was emphasized with LBJ. LBJ said, and I quote, I'm going to have Negroes voting Democrats for the next 200 years. And I think he said that in 62 or 65. Um, so that was what, 60 years ago, 60, 70 years ago. So we still got another 130 to go. But yeah, the party switched around civil rights era. So the the black community has been loyal to the Democrats, even though Democrats have never really been loyal to them, especially when it comes to this issue on immigration. Because while something that I just learned is while the parties, the Democrats and the Republicans switched in the 1900s, what didn't switch was the Democrats' stance on immigration and how they prioritize immigration over the black community. See, originally it was European immigration, but now it's everybody else. And when I say everybody else, I need people to understand immigration, whether it's legal or not, is not secluded to one race. More than 160 countries are currently invading our border. These people, and they are people, but these people can come over, break into the country, and go to Chicago, get $9,000 a month. They're reopening schools in Chicago that they have shut down. They're renovating them for these illegal immigrants. In Maine, they built an apartment complex for them, 2 years free rent. In Colorado, they're breaking into complexes by way of extortion. In New York, they get prepaid cards and luxury hotels. In Cali, they're getting free health care, and they tried to pass a $0 down, 0% interest mortgage loan. And they're doing something, they shot it down in Cali, but they're doing something similar in Oregon. And this is all while ignoring the legacy of redlining, where Black America couldn't even qualify for a home loan. And you've seen Harris's stance on reparations, so we can count that out to play as well. Um, we have a lot of work to do, and I don't think the Democrats are going to be of much assistance. So we have to find some way, shape, and form to progress as America, but specifically in the Black community,
I
Black
agree.
and Brown.
Yeah, I agree because it's worse than now than ever's been. And like I said, it's like I'm 42 and I'll be 43 next year. And you seeing how things are progressing now. You see how within our community, you see how the house is divided. You see on social media, you see on these podcasts, you see where the men versus the women, women versus the men. We so entertained by that stuff. Who wants to be right? Who wants I'm right, you're right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. But we're not unified no more. At one time, the family was together, but now we're so divided, and they know that.
Right.
And we so easily distracted. We're worried about the Diddy situation and the freak offs. And only our community is making these social media sites on it, making jokes out of it. You don't see any other races doing that but us doing that.
Hmm. Just like you don't see any other race bragging about tax season.
Yeah.
I don't even know when tax season is. I do, but I can tell just by looking at the timeline. It's tax refund this, tax refund that. You are literally showing your tax bracket. Stop doing that. But yeah, I mean, and to reference the Diddy situation, I'm gonna speak on this briefly. It's annoying. What he did was egregious, but why are we acting like we don't have Diddy's in our family with a lot less money?
Oh yeah.
One thing that I have learned in the Black community, especially after writing my book about it, we like to sweep pedophilia under the rug.
Yeah.
We will not tolerate anything gay. We will not tolerate anything homosexual. We'll call them out fast, but when it comes to pedophilia, we will sweep that under the rug. So any and everybody that's joking about this Diddy situation, which sometimes is funny, but understand that you have a Diddy in your family. That's why your cousin don't like your uncle. Especially in Dallas Fort Worth, we have Diddy's running around our community as community leaders, but because they have status or some money or a title, you don't say anything, and you know it's true. And
Yeah.
when people do speak up, the community doesn't say anything, simply because they know that person has power or status or title or money. But when everybody or when a high profile person comes out and that's credible and says something, then we'll get the support of, oh yeah, I knew he been like that. Somebody been should have said something. Why didn't you say something? So
I agree.
let's, if we're gonna talk about Diddy, let's talk about all the Diddies.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And it's how we just so distracted by it. But it is true on what you say.
Yeah.
It's true on
Yeah.
what you say. And I know you're doing a lot of great things, and I know you making a mark, leaving a legacy, making an impact, and not just making it what people you come in contact with. So what is next for you? What's next on the agenda for you?
I knew
As
you
we
was gonna
already
ask that. um, so right now I'm working on something really big. I can't talk about it. But it's a part of my policy for Congress. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of attention, but I'm super excited about it. And it should be finalized by March. So I'm super excited for that. I just can't tell you what it is. But we can jump back on early next year and we can talk about it. But yeah,
hey,
I'm working on something big right now. I just can't talk about it. But as far as what's next for me, I will be running again. Definitely for Congress, but I have another year and a half, 2 years for Congress to come back around. Um, but we do have city council elections, and I am riding the fence on whether or not I'm going to hop on that race.
gotcha, gotcha. Hey, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. After this commercial break, I want you to leave your final remarks and your words of wisdom after this commercial break.
Just living the best of my life. Same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. I'm on that same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, what you know about that? Believe I receive, I ain't talking about the contact, fall back. No, you know what? Let it in. Jesus says, and Gabe brought his own testament, testify. I ain't never been a pedophile, recognize. My baby girl is my prize, no games, word is bond. And I've been working so hard, I just thank, oh Lord, that we made it thus far. And I got my prayers up, that the troops come home. I can feel your energy, even through these broken walls. And I got my prayers up, that the troops come home. I can feel your energy, even through these broken walls. Same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. I'm on that same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. You gotta sacrifice, been working my whole life. But when I look back, he's been there my whole life. Love working on the inside, so. And for that news, looking and feeling brand new. Got a crew for the dollar sign. What's more loyal is they don't need to see a dollar sign to be there for you. Respect the wishes. And I got bills too, so respect is given. We about to take flight, secure precision. Anything you put your heart into, you can do. Had to run the numbers up when I showed the proofs. Just living the best of my life. Just living the best of my life. Same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Man, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. I'm on that same thing. Spend time, educate your mind one time, one time, one time. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, we on that. Yeah. Just living the best of my life. Just living the best of my life, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back here on the Walking This Ways Impact Wars podcast. Big shout out to Gabriel Willer out of Atlanta, Georgia. Educate your mind. That's what it's all about. Educating our mind. We know everything starts within, and it's not out here, but we got to change within. But before we get ready to go, Payton, I want you to go ahead and leave your words of wisdom, your final remarks for the listening audience that's watching it, that we're live streaming on all social media platforms, and go back and watch the replay.
Of course. If you would like to stay updated with me, my progress, and what I'm doing, please follow all of my social media. Um, all of the political ones are No Taxing with Jackson. My TikTok is officially PKJ. But I want to wrap up by saying rest in peace to Marcellus Williams. I don't know all of the details, um, but if there is ever evidence that conflicts with the conviction and politicians ignore that, like Governor Parson, there has to be some type of consequences. I know he's reached his term limit, so none of this matters to him. But that was a life that was taken, and I believe an innocent one. So, rest in peace, Mr. Williams.
Man, I know I didn't know much about him, Mr. Williams. I know you had brought it up, and I know it was here and there on him, but like I said, everything is so distracted on other things. So
Right.
this might actually my first time ever hearing about Mr. Williams. Can you give me a rundown on how this all transpired with him? I know he was on death row, correct?
Yes. He was convicted of murdering a social worker, I believe the 90s.
Mm,
He's always claimed to be innocent, but there was new evidence that came into play, and the Supreme Court of Missouri um, denied uh, the his legal's representations attempt um, to hold off on an execution, just to hold off on it. And the Supreme Court denied it, so it was in the hands of the governor. And I believe the innocenceproject.org is the one who spearheaded everything, but hundreds of thousands of people, mostly white people from what I've seen, um, submitted petitions today before 6 p.m. to in hopes of changing the governor's stance. Um, the Innocence Project tried to get a lot of people to call in. I tried calling multiple times. They even blocked off the voicemails. I know Congresswoman Cori Bush, um, who went, I think, viral last year or the year before for her reparations bill, which is S40, which has gotten little support last I checked. She's done a lot of great work. I believe she's a Democrat, and I support a lot of what she does. She spoke about it multiple times. The mayor of St. Louis spoke about it and tried to get the governor to do something, but when these politicians they've reached their term limit, in which he has, they don't care about optics or anything. That's the only time that they don't care about optics is right after an election or when they know that they can't run again. So, from what I know, Mr. Williams was executed shortly around 6 p.m. today.
mm,
His
wow.
last statement was, "All praise due to Allah," I believe.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's serious out here and it's real out here, and we gotta make some changes. I know it start with us first, and Payton, I appreciate you again for
of
taking time
course.
out your productive schedule. I don't say busy, but productive schedule, and I don't want to hold you up because I know you're a very productive woman. So we're about to get ready to get off this thing, ladies and gentlemen. I will be back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We're gonna be talking about transparency. Well, Crystal from Crystal Talk Counselor, and also my good friend out of Miami, Nancy. We're gonna be talking about transparency, things of that nature. So we're looking forward to that conversation tomorrow night. To then, man, y'all have a great night. Follow your goals, follow your dreams. most importantly, man, be productive, learn, educate yourself. So much wealth information out there. We just gotta take this information, apply it. So, man, y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all tomorrow here at 7 p.m. here on the Walking His Ways Impact Wars podcast. Good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.